It was 6:15 a.m., and I was punching out from another brutal overnight shift at St. Joseph's Medical Center in Phoenix, Arizona, when Mitch Carver, one of the maintenance guys, caught me in the break room. His face had that spooked look, like he'd stumbled across something he wished he could erase from his brain. "Jake, you gotta see this before it's gone," he said, his hands trembling as he pulled out his phone. I'd spent the last 14 hours patching up busted hospital beds and clearing out clogged drains in the OR. All I craved was a strong cup of coffee and some quiet. "What's up, Mitch?" I muttered, barely holding it together. He flipped his phone toward me, and a video was already rolling. My wife, Ellen, stark naked in what looked like a fancy hotel suite, tangled in high thread count sheets, with some guy's voice murmuring in what sounded like Italian. The timestamp glared at me, April 10th, last month, when she was supposedly at a medical conference in Rome. My coffee mug shattered in my fist. The ceramic split right in half, hot coffee scalding my hand, but I didn't even flinch. "Jesus, Jake, I'm so sorry," Mitch said, his voice sounding like it was echoing from the bottom of a well. "Found it on one of those sketchy adult sites." A janitor passed the link around. I set the broken mug on the counter, watching the coffee seep across the chipped linoleum in a dark puddle. "Send me the link, Mitch," I said, my voice too calm, like it wasn't even mine. "Send it." His fingers fumbled over his phone, and mine buzzed a second later. I walked out of St. Joseph's into the pale April dawn, drove back to our two-story house on Cedar Lane in Scottsdale, and sat in my truck in the driveway for a good 20 minutes. Neighbors were starting their day. Mrs. Larson walked her Labradoodle, the Thompsons peeled out of their driveway in identical sedans. Just regular folks living regular lives. I stepped inside. Ellen was in the kitchen, tossing spinach into the blender for her morning smoothie, decked out in pricey running gear. At 42, she still looked like the nurse I'd married 18 years back, just a little more polished, like a blade honed sharp. "Rough shift?" she asked, not even glancing up as she dumped in some protein powder. "Same old," I said. The blender screamed to life, obliterating the silence for a solid 30 seconds. When it stopped, the quiet felt like it could crush me. "How was that conference last month?" I asked, leaning against the counter. Her hand froze on the blender's lid. "Rome," she said, smooth as ever. "Real information. Picked up some new stuff on heart surgeries. Anything else catches your interest?" Her hazel eyes flicked to me, guarded, like she was sizing up a patient who might cause trouble. "What's that supposed to mean?" I slid my phone onto the marble countertop between us. The video was queued up, one tap away from playing. "Nothing," I said, holding her gaze. "Just curious." I waited until that evening to show Ellen the video. She was at the dining table, marking up student papers with a blue pen, precise as a surgeon. She'd gone back to teaching nursing part-time after the kids grew up. "We gotta talk," I said, my voice low. She glanced up, eyebrows raised. I hit play. Her face went white as a sheet as her own voice filled the room. On the screen, she was laughing, telling the guy how her husband worked nights and wouldn't notice she was gone, how she'd earned a little thrill after 18 years of marriage. "Jake, I can explain," she stammered. "What's his name?" I cut in. She blinked, caught off guard. "You didn't ask who he is, so you must know." "What's his name, Ellen?" Her mouth opened, shut, opened again. "Marco," she finally said. "He's a doctor from Milan. It was one night, Jake. One dumb, drunken night. I'm already getting treatment." Treatment, like it was just a cold she picked up. "Who else knows?" I pressed. "Nobody. Just Marco, obviously." "Who else, Ellen?" Before she could answer, our daughter, Zoe, burst through the front door, home from her sophomore year at Arizona State. At 19, she's fierce, like a storm you can't argue with. She took one look at us and planted herself between me and her mom. "What's wrong, Mom? You look like you're gonna pass out." "Your mom had an affair," I said, flat. Zoe's face twisted up. "Dad, don't be so dramatic. People screw up sometimes. Did you know?" Her half-second hesitation was louder than words. "It's not what you think. She told me she met someone, okay? She was lonely. Dad, you're always working. When's the last time you two did anything fun together?" Our son, Owen, appeared in the doorway, still in his high school soccer kit. At 17, he's got my build but his mom's sharp mind in his eyes. He scanned the room, then moved to stand by my side. What's going on? He asked, voice quiet but steady. Your mom cheated, I said. Your sister knew. Owen's jaw clenched. He looked at Ellen, then Zoe. How long? Doesn't matter, Zoe snapped. She's sick, okay? She needs help, not a lecture. Sick? Owen's voice was cold. I nodded toward the pharmacy bag on the counter. Italian labels, Rome pharmacy stamp. Standard antibiotics for an STD, treatable, sure. The silence stretched tight, like a wire about to snap. Zoe grabbed the bag and chucked it into the trash. You're both acting like she committed murder. It was one mistake. She broke something, Owen said, so quiet it hit harder than a shout. Ellen finally spoke up. It was one night. I was drunk, lonely, and I messed up big time. But I'm still your mom, and I'm still your wife, Jake. Are you? I shot back. She stared, speechless. I stood and headed for the garage stairs. Figure it out. The next morning, I called my buddy Claire from the ICU. She'd worked with Ellen for years before she started travel nursing. Need a favor, I said during her break. Sure, Jake, what's up? I sent her pics of the medication labels. Can you read these? They're from Rome. 20 minutes later, she called back. Standard antibiotics, usually for STDs, Jake, everything all right? Just curious about overseas meds, I said, dodging. Come on, that's nonsense. Is Ellen okay? Something like that. Thanks, Claire. I owe you. I hung up and dialed Mitch. That video, can you check when it was posted? Why? Just do it. An hour later, he texted back. Uploaded April 15th, metadata says it was shot April 10th at the Hotel Palazzo in Rome. The same night as that heart conference Ellen went to. I sat in my truck outside Owen's high school, waiting for soccer practice to wrap up. The metadata just confirmed what I already knew, but now it was solid. Dates, place, timeline. Ellen hadn't slipped up at a conference. She'd planned it. When Owen climbed into the truck, he buckled up and stared out the windshield. You good? I asked. You guys splitting up? Don't know yet. Good, he said. Don't let her walk all over you. What about your sister? Owen stayed silent for a long stretch. Zoe's always had mom's back, no matter what, he said finally. Even when we were kids, and mom forgot to pick us up from school, Zoe'd cover for her. I stared at him, stunned. She forgot to pick you up? Yeah, a few times. You were always at work, so Zoe'd call a friend's mom for a ride and tell you mom was stuck in traffic. I had no clue about this. Why didn't you say something? Zoe said it'd just stir up trouble. I pulled into our driveway on Cedar Lane in Scottsdale, Arizona, and cut the engine. No more covering for anyone, got it? Whatever happens next, I want the truth. Owen nodded. Dad, what's your next move? I'm not sure yet, but I'm not pretending this didn't happen. That night, I logged into our shared credit card account. The charges from Rome told a damning story: fancy dinners for two, couples spa packages, a necklace from some upscale boutique. She'd used our money for a romantic fling with another guy. I printed every transaction. Without a word, I moved into the garage. Grabbed my clothes, books, and toolbox, and set up a cot by my workbench, where I'd always gone to clear my head. Ellen didn't try to stop me. She stood at the top of the garage stairs, watching me haul down a blanket, and said, How long are you planning on staying down there, Jake? Till I sort this out, I replied. We need to talk like grown-ups. No, I said, shutting the door. We don't. I stopped using the joint credit cards and quit depositing my paycheck into our shared account. Instead, I funneled everything into the old checking account I'd kept from before we got married, the one Ellen never asked about. That first week, she kept trying to get through to me. She'd bring a mug of coffee to the garage, offer to pack my lunch for work, even suggested therapy. I kept it short, yes. No thanks. I'm good. Owen started hanging out in the garage after school, doing his math homework at my workbench. We'd sit in easy silence, him tackling equations, me polishing tools I'd owned for 2 decades. Sometimes he'd ask about my day, and I'd tell him about the equipment I'd fixed at St. Joseph's, the surgeries I'd prepped for, the little ways I kept the hospital humming. "You like your job?" he asked one afternoon. "I like fixing stuff," I said. "Taking something broken and making it work again. What if it's too broken to fix?" I met his eyes. "Then you toss it and start fresh." Zoe steered clear of the garage. Upstairs, she'd slam cabinets, blast music way too loud, and have friends over who laughed too much, like they were trying to drown out the tension. It was her way of coping, making noise to fill the void Ellen's betrayal had left. The second week, I started pulling double shifts at the hospital. 12 hours stretched to 16, sometimes 18. There was always maintenance work to do, and the overtime cash went straight to my private account. I'd drag myself home, shower in the garage bathroom I'd built years back, and crash until it was time to head out again. Ellen's attempts to talk dwindled. Owen mentioned she'd been crying a lot, even took a leave from work because she couldn't focus. Part of me felt a pang for her. The bigger part felt nothing. On Friday night of the second week, I was organizing my toolbox when I heard footsteps on the garage stairs. Not Ellen's cautious tread or Zoe's angry stomps, Owen's steady steps. He came down holding a plain envelope. "What's that?" I asked. "Something you need to see." He handed it over, his face heavy. "Sorry, Dad." Inside were printouts of text messages between Zoe and Ellen, screenshots from Zoe's phone, dated that day. "Zoe, he's blowing this way out of proportion. // Mom, give him space. He'll move on. / Zoe, maybe we should come clean. / Mom, about what? / Zoe, the others. / No way, Mom. Marco was bad / If he finds out about Milan and Florence, he'll never forgive you. / Zoe, this is spiraling. / Mom, promise you won't tell him about the others. Promise. / Fine, but it's already a mess. We just have to handle it. I read it 3 times. The others. Milan and Florence. She dragged our daughter into covering up multiple affairs. "How'd you get these?" I asked. Zoe left her phone charging in the kitchen. It lit up, and I saw the texts. Owen sat on a stool by my workbench. "I'm sorry." I folded the papers and slid them back into the envelope. "You did right by showing me." "You mad?" "Not at you." I switched off the garage light. In the dark, I could hear Ellen's voice floating from the kitchen, probably blending another smoothie, probably crafting another lie. "I'm done with this," I said. Saturday morning, I spread the screenshots across the kitchen table like I was laying out a winning hand. Ellen was still in bed, but Zoe was at the counter, eating oatmeal in her pajamas, scrolling on her phone. "We need to talk," I said. She glanced at the papers, and her face went pale. "Where'd you get those?" "Does it matter?" "You snooped through my phone. That's an invasion of privacy. Your mom's been cheating for months, and you've been helping her hide it. Want to talk about invasions?" Zoe shoved her bowl aside. "It's not what you think." "Then spell it out." "Mom was miserable, okay? She said you two were more like roommates. She met Marco at a conference in Milan last year, and they stayed in touch. When she went to Rome, she was supposed to break it off, but she didn't." "No." "And Florence," Zoe's shoulders sagged. "Another conference in January. She met someone else." "How many others?" "I don't know. She doesn't tell me everything, but she tells me enough to make me lie for her." Zoe stood, her voice sharp again. "She's my mom. She was crying all the time, feeling old and ignored. You barely looked at her anymore, Dad. When's the last time you said she looked nice? Took her out somewhere special? When's the last time I cheated on her?" I shot back. "That's not the issue." "That's exactly the issue." I gathered the screenshots. "She made choices, Zoe. Multiple ones. And she turned you into her accomplice. I was trying to keep this family together. You were shielding her, Zoe, not the family, not me, and definitely not yourself." I stood up, my chair scraping the kitchen floor. "That stops now." I grabbed my phone and dialed my bank. "Desert Trust Bank, this is Amanda," a voice answered. "Hey, Amanda, I need to lock down all my joint accounts right now. Zoe's eyes widened like I just set the house on fire. Dad, you can't do that. I raised a hand to silence her. Account holder Jake Harlan, I said, voice steady. I'll hold. Zoe's voice cracked. Dad, please, Mom needs money for groceries, gas, stuff like that. Your mom should have thought about that before blowing our cash on her side guys. Amanda came back on the line. Mr. Harlan, I've got you. Can you confirm your social security number? I recited the digits while Zoe stared, horrified. All set, Amanda said. What do you need today? Freeze all joint checking and savings accounts. Switch my direct deposit to my personal account ending in 4821. And remove the secondary cardholder from my credit cards. Done. The freeze takes effect immediately, direct deposit changes by Monday. Anything else? That's it. Thanks. I hung up. Zoe was crying now, hot, angry tears streaking her face. You can't just cut her off like that. I can, and I did. She needs money? She can ask Marco. Or the Florence guy. I don't care. I headed for the garage stairs. But she's not using my paycheck to fund her affairs anymore. Dad, wait. Zoe's voice shrank, almost scared. What about me? What about my college tuition? I paused, not turning around. That depends. You gonna keep lying for her, or start telling me the truth? I went downstairs and shut the door. By Monday, the video had spread through St. Joseph's Medical Center in Phoenix like wildfire. I knew because conversations died when I walked into the break room, and coworkers I'd known for years suddenly got real interested in their coffee cups. Claire caught me after lunch. Jake, people are talking. Let him talk. Is it true about Ellen? I didn't answer. God, Jake, I'm sorry. If you need anything, I need folks to stay out of my business. But I knew that ship had sailed. Small hospital, smaller city like Phoenix, gossip like this was blood in the water. By Wednesday, the news had hit Ellen's workplace. She called me during my break, voice shaking with rage. They're pulling me from teaching rotations, she said. My boss says there's concern about my judgment with students. That's rough, I said, flat. Rough, Jake? I could lose my job. Should have thought about that before you recorded yourself with some stranger. She went silent for a long moment. I didn't think you could be this cold. I'm not cold. I'm practical. Choices have consequences. Fine, but the kids are hurting too. Zoe's friends saw the video. She's mortified. Good. Maybe she'll learn something about loyalty. Loyalty to who? You? You're the one tearing this family apart. No, Ellen, you broke it. I'm just sweeping up the mess. That evening, Mitch found me in the storage closet at the hospital, where we kept spare parts for the OR equipment. Got something else, he said, holding up a USB drive. The full video. Unedited. I don't need to see more. Trust me, you do. He plugged it into his laptop. Listen to this. The video started the same, but this one kept going. After the intimate part, there was talk. Ellen's voice, sharp and clear. My husband's a decent guy, but he's so predictable. Works nights, comes home exhausted, zones out on the couch. I needed this, Marco. I needed to feel alive. Marco's accented voice replied, does he suspect anything? Jake? Nah, he's not the jealous type. Honestly, I don't think he'd care if he found out. We're more like roommates than a couple. And your kids? They're grown, or close enough. They'll get it someday. Sometimes you need a spark. Marco chuckled. You're quite wise for an American. Ellen laughed. Wise enough to know what I want. Mitch snapped the laptop shut. Thought you should hear how she really sees you. I stared at the blank screen. How many people have seen the full version? Just the cleaning crew so far. But you know how these things spread. Let it spread, I said. That night, Owen brought me dinner in the garage, cold pizza and a root beer. Mom didn't cook? I asked. She's been in her room all day. Zoe ordered takeout. He sat across from me on a stool. Dad, kids at school are talking. About what? Mom. The video. Some senior's cousin works at the hospital. Owen picked at his pizza. Zoe's pissed. She got in a fight with her friend Kayla cause Kayla called Mom a name. What did you do? Nothing. What was I supposed to do? Defend her? Tell Kayla she's wrong? He looked at me, eyes steady. Kayla's not wrong, is she? I didn't answer. I mean, if Mom cheated with multiple guys and recorded it, that's what it is, right? I'm not dumb, Dad. I know why you're sleeping down here, why you're done talking to her. He sipped his root beer. Just want you to know I'm with you. It's not about picking sides. Yeah, it is. And I picked mine. Thursday morning, I met with Greg Thornton, the lawyer who'd handled our home purchase in Scottsdale. His office smelled like old books and broken promises, the kind of place where marriages went to end. Morning, Jake, he said. What's on your mind? I spread out the printed bank statements, Zoe's text message screenshots, and the USB drive with the full video. I want to shield my money and property during a marital separation, I told Greg Thornton, laying out the evidence on his desk. He let out a low whistle as he scanned the documents. This is heavy stuff, Jake. How long's this been going on? At least a year, maybe more. She used our joint funds for her flings. The Rome trip cost $8,000, Florence was $12,000, all charged to our credit cards. Greg nodded. That's marital misconduct and financial waste. We've got a strong case here. He leaned back in his chair. What's your goal? I want everything in my name locked down, house, retirement, accounts. I want her cut off from my earnings. You already froze the joint accounts? Yeah. Smart move. For the house, we can file for exclusive occupancy based on her actions. Retirement accounts are tougher, but we can argue for protection due to the financial waste. How long's this take? Emergency motions can be heard in a week. Full divorce proceedings drag on, but we can get temporary orders fast. Greg tapped his pen on the desk. You sure about this, Jake? Filing makes it an official, public record. It's already public. Half of Phoenix has seen the video. Fair enough. I'll start the paperwork today. I drove back to our house on Cedar Lane in Scottsdale, Arizona, and spotted Ellen's car in the driveway, with an unfamiliar SUV parked behind it. Through the kitchen window, I saw her at the table with an older woman in a sharp blazer. I walked in through the garage door, and they both looked up. Jake, this is my lawyer, Diane Peterson, Ellen said. Diane stood, offering her hand. Mr. Harlan, I was hoping we could talk this out before things escalate. Nothing to talk about, I said, brushing past her hand. I'm filing for separation and asset protection tomorrow. Diane's calm faltered slightly. I understand you're upset, but cutting off your wife's access to marital funds, protect money she's already shown she'll burn on her affairs. I pulled out my phone and showed Diane the bank statements. Rome, $8,000. Florence, $12,000. Want to see the video proof? Ellen's face turned crimson. You don't have to be so vicious about this. Vicious would be splashing that video on social media with your name tagged. This is just me guarding what's mine. What's yours, Jake? We've been married 18 years. It's ours. Was ours, until you shared yourself with Marco and whoever else in Florence. I turned to Diane. Your client cheated with multiple men, used our money to bankroll it, and got our daughter to cover her tracks. Those aren't accusations, they're facts. Diane gathered her papers. We'll be in touch. After they left, I headed to the garage and found Ellen waiting at the bottom of the stairs. The grocery store rejected my card today, she said, her voice low. I know, Jake. I can't buy food, put gas in the car, or even pay for parking at work. Should have thought about that before you covered Marco's dinner with our credit card. Her calm broke. It was a mistake, okay? I made awful choices, but you're treating me like a criminal. You took our money to fund your affairs. That's theft and betrayal. I didn't steal anything. $8,000 in Rome, $12,000 in Florence, pulled from our joint account while you were with other men. What's that called? She started sobbing, deep, messy cries that shook her frame. I can't live like this, Jake. No money, no access to anything. My own husband only talks to me to cut me down. The second you paid for his meal in euros, you paid your way out. Ellen wiped her eyes with her sleeve. What about Zoe? You cutting her off too? That's up to her. She's our daughter, Jake. Whatever you think of me, she doesn't deserve this. You're right. She didn't deserve you making her lie for you, keeping your secrets, turning her against her own dad to protect your affairs. I sat at my workbench. But she chose to help you betray me. Now she deals with the fallout. And Owen? Owen chose honesty. He's fine. Ellen stood there, maybe hoping I'd soften, but when I didn't, she climbed the stairs. I heard her bedroom door shut and lock. The house split into battle lines by floors. Upstairs was Ellen and Zoe's territory, hushed talks, locked doors, and a constant buzz of tension. The garage was mine and Owen's, where we could breathe. Owen started spending most evenings down here, doing homework at my workbench while I sorted tools or flipped through a book. We fell into a rhythm. He'd warm up dinner for us, bring it down, and we'd eat while watching old movies on the little TV I'd hauled from the spare room. One night, during the Great Escape, Owen spoke up. Dad, I gotta tell you something. I paused the movie. What's up? Zoe's been texting her friends about you, about what you're doing to Mom. He pulled out his phone. She left it open again. I grabbed screenshots. The messages made my gut twist. Zoe, Dad's acting like a total lunatic. He cut off all Mom's money. Kayla, maybe your mom shouldn't have cheated. Zoe, it was one slip up. He's acting like she killed someone. Brianna, didn't she cheat with multiple guys? Zoe, Dad's just looking for reasons to ditch her. He never loved her anyway. Probably been planning this forever. Kayla, that's not what my cousin heard at the hospital. Zoe, your cousin doesn't know Jack. My dad's a spiteful jerk tearing our family apart over a bruised ego. Brianna, maybe stay out of it, Zoe. Zoe, I can't. Mom needs someone on her side. Dad's turned Owen against her and now he's trying to make everyone think she's some kind of villain. Kayla, Zoe, the video's all over school. Everyone's seen it. Zoe, I know it's embarrassing, but she's still my mom, and I'm not bailing on her like Dad did. She's telling her friends you had this all planned out, Owen said, his voice low. What do you think? I think if I'd planned anything, I wouldn't have looked like I got hit by a freight train when Mitch showed me that video. Owen tucked his phone away. Dad, are you really gonna divorce her? I don't know yet. Right now, I'm just focused on locking down what's mine. What about college for me and Zoe? I met his gaze. Your college fund's safe. It's in my name only, always has been. I'll keep my promise for your education, and Zoe's, too, unless she keeps painting me as the bad guy in her story. Owen went quiet for a moment. She really thinks Mom's the victim here. Some folks need a villain to make sense of their world. It's easier than admitting someone they love made selfish calls. You mad at me for showing you her texts? Nah, you're being straight with me. That's what counts. Especially since she's your sister. Family doesn't mean covering up lies, Owen. It means guarding the truth. Friday evening, Zoe came down to the garage for the first time in weeks. I was tinkering with the carburetor on my old push mower, something to keep my hands busy. We gotta talk, she said, standing in the doorway. All right. This is getting out of hand, Dad. Mom's falling apart. She's not eating, barely sleeping, can't focus at work. She's talking about crashing with her sister in Nevada. That's her call, isn't it? You've made it impossible for her to stay here. Zoe plopped onto the stool Owen usually used. She's got no money, no access to anything. You've basically kicked her out of her own life. She kicked herself out when she started cheating. Zoe flinched. You don't have to be so harsh. Sometimes harsh is honest. Fine, she had affairs. She screwed up. But you're not perfect either, Dad. You're always working. You barely talk to her. When's the last time you took her out somewhere nice? Stop. I set the carburetor down and looked at her. Your mom's actions are on her, not me, not you, her. When you try to excuse her betrayal by pointing out my flaws as a husband, you're doing the same thing she did to justify her affairs. I'm not excusing anything. You're making excuses for her, just like you did when she forgot to pick you up from school. Or when she missed your volleyball games because she was too busy. You've been doing it your whole life. Zoe's face paled. Owen told you about that. Owen told me the truth, something you've never done. That's not fair. Fair? I stood up. Fair would have been your mom honoring our marriage. Fair would have been her not blowing our money on romantic getaways with her boyfriends. Fair would have been you not lying to me for months about her affairs. Tears streamed down Zoe's face. She's my mom. I love her. I loved her too, for 18 years. I worked double shifts to pay for this house, your college, her nursing degree. I fixed every broken thing, planned every trip, remembered every anniversary. My voice rose, but I didn't care. And when she got bored, she went shopping for something new while keeping me as her safety net. Dad, I'm not done, you know what's fair, Zoe? Your mom is facing the consequences of her choices without dragging you and Owen into it. Instead, she turned you into her accomplice, made you lie, and hurt your relationship with me to protect her flings with Marco and whoever else. Zoe was sobbing now, wiping her nose on her sleeve. I just wanted to keep our family together. The family broke the moment your mom decided to share herself with other men. I'm just facing reality. So what now? You divorce her, and we act like the last 18 years never happened? Those 18 years happened. Some were good, but they're done. As for you and Owen, you made your choice, Zoe. You picked her lies over my truth. Owen chose differently. You both live with what you chose. She stood, anger overtaking her tears. You're making me choose between you and Mom. No, you already chose. I'm just respecting that. Zoe bolted upstairs, and I heard her bedroom door slam. An hour later, Owen came down with a turkey sandwich and a soda. Zoe's packing, he said. Where's she going? Mom's driving her back to school tonight. Zoe says she's not coming home until you snap out of it. I took a bite of the sandwich. What do you think? I think she's scared to admit Mom's not who she thought she was. It's easier to blame you than face the truth about her. And what's the truth? Owen paused, staring at his soda can. Mom's selfish. She's always put herself first. Zoe spent so long making excuses for her that she's blind to it. I heard a car engine rev in the driveway, then tires crunching on pavement. They were gone. Just us now, Owen said. Are you good with that? Yeah, Dad. I'm good. Saturday morning, there was a knock on the garage door. I opened it to find Greg Thornton holding a manila folder, looking like a lawyer who'd just cornered a big win. Emergency hearing set for Monday, 9 a.m., Judge Larson's courtroom, he said. That was quick. Helps when you've got video proof and clear financial waste. The judge wants to meet you in chambers first for an informal talk about temporary orders. Greg handed me the folder. I filed for exclusive occupancy of the house, protection of your personal assets, and a block on her access to your retirement funds. What's that mean in plain terms? If it's approved, Ellen's got 30 days to find somewhere else to live. Your future earnings are yours alone. She can't touch your pension or 401k until a final divorce ruling, if ever. What if she fights it? She can try, but the evidence, adultery, financial waste, dragging your kids into her deception, is airtight. Judges don't take kindly to that. Greg sat on my workbench stool. Jake, I gotta ask, are you sure? The court makes this public. Everyone in Scottsdale will know the details. They already do. Might as well make it official. All right. One more thing, Ellen's lawyer called yesterday. She's open to settlement talks. What kind of deal is she offering? I asked Greg Thornton. Joint custody of Owen, a 50-50 split of marital assets, and spousal support for 2 years while she gets back on her feet, he replied. I let out a bitter laugh. Spousal support? After she blew our money on her boyfriends? That's what I told Diane. She said to expect a counteroffer on Monday. After Greg left, Owen and I headed to the community center in Tempe, Arizona, for the annual charity auction. We'd gone as a family for the last decade, but this year, it was just the two of us. The parking lot was packed, and I recognized most of the cars. Small-town events like this were practically mandatory, everyone showed up, whether they wanted to or not. You sure about this, Dad? Owen asked as we approached the entrance. Hiding doesn't fix anything, I said. Inside, the usual crowd milled around tables piled with donated goods, hand-stitched blankets, gift cards to local diners, a weekend trip to the coast. I spotted coworkers from St. Joseph's Medical Center, parents from Owen's school, and neighbors I'd known forever. Conversations didn't stop when I walked in, but they got quieter, and I felt eyes following me across the room. "Jake!" Claire called from the registration table. "Good to see you." "Wouldn't miss it," I said, buying raffle tickets. "Owen's got his eye on that kayak rental." "Nice pick," she said, her smile warm but cautious. "Pete Larson donated that one. It'll be a blast." She glanced around the room. "You holding up okay?" "One day at a time." Owen and I grabbed seats at a table near the back, close to the coffee station. The auction hadn't started yet, and folks were chatting, browsing items, normal Saturday stuff, except nothing felt normal. "Dad," Owen said, his voice low and tense. "Look." I glanced toward the entrance. Ellen walked in with Zoe, both dressed like they'd planned every detail. Ellen wore a green dress I'd bought her for an anniversary a couple of years back. Zoe was in an outfit that screamed she had something to prove. The room's vibe shifted instantly. Conversation stopped cold. Ellen scanned the crowd, spotted me, and raised her chin with that stubborn look she'd mastered over the years. They took seats at a table on the opposite side of the room, close enough to make a point, far enough to avoid a direct clash. "This is weird," Owen muttered. "It's about to get weirder." Diane Peterson, Ellen's lawyer, was with them, glancing my way while whispering to Ellen. A legal powwow in a community center basement. The auction kicked off with small items, baked goods, crafts, local store vouchers. Typical stuff with typical bids, but the tension in the room was thick. People kept sneaking looks between our table and theirs. When the kayak rental came up, Owen raised his hand. "Do I hear $50? The auctioneer called. Owen nodded. $1.75? Someone else bid. $100? Owen looked at me. I gave a nod, and he raised his hand again. $125? The other bidder backed off. Owen snagged the rental for $100, cheaper than I expected, probably because folks were more focused on the family drama than the auction. "Thanks, Dad," Owen said, heading to register his win. While he was gone, I saw movement at Ellen's table. She was walking toward me, Diane trailing like a hesitant shadow. "Jake," Ellen said, stopping at my table. "We need to talk." "No, we don't. Please, just 5 minutes, away from all this." I glanced around. Every pair of eyes was locked on us, the auction forgotten. "You want to do this here?" "I want to stop this before it ruins everyone we care about." "You already ruined them." "I'm just picking up the pieces." Diane stepped in. "Mr. Harlan, maybe we could step outside and discuss." "No," I stood up. "Ellen, you chose to show up here tonight. You made this public. So let's make it public." The room went dead silent, even the auctioneer frozen. "You want to talk? Fine. Let's talk about Marco and Rome. Let's talk about Florence. Let's talk about how you used our credit cards to treat your boyfriends to fancy dinners while I was pulling double shifts to pay for Zoe's college." Ellen's face flushed deep red. "Jake, please, let's talk about how you turned Zoe into your accomplice, making her lie to cover your affairs. How you forced our daughter to choose between protecting your secrets and respecting her own dad." "Stop it!" Zoe shouted from across the room. "Just stop." "Or what, Zoe? You'll take her side again?" "Oh, wait, you already did." I grabbed my jacket from the chair. "Owen, we're out." Owen appeared beside me, clutching his kayak rental receipt. "Ready, Dad." We headed for the exit, the crowd parting like we were carrying a plague. At the door, I turned back. Ellen stood by my empty table, tears streaming down her face. Zoe had her arm around her mom, glaring at me like I was the devil himself. "Enjoy the auction," I said to no one in particular. We left them there, surrounded by neighbors who now knew exactly where the lines were drawn. In the truck, Owen buckled up and let out a heavy sigh. That was intense. "Feel bad about it?" "Nah. She made her choice walking in there. You made yours." I started the engine and pulled out of the lot. In the rearview mirror, I saw people spilling out of the community center, the auction apparently done. "Dad," Owen said as we drove back to Cedar Lane in Scottsdale. "Yeah? I'm proud of you for standing your ground." "Thanks, son. What's Monday gonna bring?" "We'll see how hard your mom wants to fight." I pulled into our driveway and shut off the engine. Then we pushed back. Sunday night, Mitch called while I was helping Owen with his algebra homework in the garage. "Fire up your laptop," he said, skipping any small talk. "What's this about?" "Just do it. Check your email." I opened my computer and found a message from Mitch with a link. "What am I looking at here?" "Your wife's video just hit a Reddit thread about cheating spouses. It's spreading, Jake. Big time." I clicked the link and landed on a post titled "Married Nurse Cheats in Rome," full video. It had been up for 6 hours, already racking up 200 comments. User 1, "Anyone know who this is? She talks about her husband like he's a piece of furniture." User 2, "Heard this is from a small town in Arizona. Hospital worker's wife." User 3, "Feel for the husband. She's laughing about how he'll never find out." User 4, "Plot twist, he found out and cut her off financially. Respect." "It gets worse," Mitch said. "Check the comments. Someone dropped your names." I scrolled and saw it. User 8, "This is Ellen Harlan from Tempe, Arizona. Her husband, Jake, works at St. Joseph's Medical Center. Word is he shut down her access to their accounts when he found out. Mad respect." "How'd they get our names?" I asked. "Hospital gossip, probably. You know how fast stuff spreads around here." Owen looked up from his notebook. "What's wrong, Dad?" I shut the laptop. "Nothing you need to worry about." But it was something I had to worry about. The video wasn't just local chatter anymore, it was online, permanent, searchable, tied to our names forever. An hour later, Ellen called, her voice trembling, on the edge of panic. "Jake, please tell me you didn't post that video online." "I didn't post a thing." "You gave it to someone who did." "Once you recorded that, Ellen, it was bound to spread. That's how digital stuff works. You filmed yourself cheating, and now it's viral. People are posting our names, our address. Zoe's getting texts from strangers. Maybe you should have thought about that before you recorded yourself with Marco." She was crying now. "I can't live like this, Jake. I can't go to work, can't hit the grocery store, can't show my face without people staring. Welcome to consequences. Please, we need to fix this. I'll do anything, counseling, therapy, whatever you want. Just stop this before it destroys our whole family. Our family was destroyed the second you chose to betray it. I'm just making sure the wreckage doesn't bury me too. What about forgiveness? A second chance?" I was pacing the garage now, my voice tight. "You didn't want forgiveness in Rome. You didn't care about second chances in Florence. You wanted excitement, freedom, the thrill of betraying your predictable husband. Well, congrats, you got it. I made mistakes. Mistakes are accidents. You made choices. Deliberate, repeated choices. And you dragged our daughter into them, making her your accomplice. Zoe was just trying to protect us. She was protecting you, Ellen, not the family. You. And you taught her it's okay to lie for someone you love, that betrayal's fine if you feel unfulfilled, that marriage vows are optional when you're bored." Ellen went quiet for a long moment. "So there's no way back? No chance to fix this?" "Fix what? Your multiple affairs? Your financial betrayal? Turning our daughter into a liar? Which part am I supposed to fix? The part where we loved each other for 18 years. I loved you for 18 years. You loved the stability I gave you while you went looking for something better." She hung up. 10 minutes later, there was a knock on the garage door. "Go away, Ellen." "Jake, please, let me in. We need to talk face to face." "No, we don't. I'm not leaving until you do." I opened the door. She stood there in sweatpants, hair messy, face puffy from crying, a woman whose world was crumbling. "5 minutes," I said. She came down the stairs and sat on Owen's stool. "I know you hate me right now. I don't hate you. I just don't trust you, don't respect you, and don't want to be married to you anymore." "Because of Marco?" "Because of Marco, the guy in Florence, the guy in Milan, and whoever else you haven't told me about. Because you used our money to fund your affairs. Because you made Zoe lie for you. Because you recorded yourself betraying our marriage and acted shocked when it bit you. I was drunk. You were sober when you booked those trips. Sober when you swiped our credit cards. Sober when you made Zoe swear to keep your secrets. She flinched. You read our private texts. Owen showed them to me. Our son, Ellen, the one you ignored while you were busy protecting Zoe's role in your lies. I never meant for this to happen. But it did. And now we both deal with it. I sat across from her. Tomorrow, I'm going to court to protect my assets from any more damage you might cause. Fight it if you want, but you'll lose. The evidence is ironclad. What if I swear to end it? All of it? Cut off all contact with Marco. No more solo trips. Ever. Ellen's voice was desperate. Jake, stop. It's not too late for promises. It is for us. The second you chose to be with other men, you ended our marriage. I'm just making it official. She broke down again, her body shaking with raw, messy sobs. I don't know how to go on without you. You're a smart woman, Ellen. You'll figure it out. Get a job, find a place to live, start over. Maybe Marco can pitch in. Marco doesn't want anything serious. He made that clear. Then find someone who does. Just make sure he's not someone else's husband. She wiped her eyes with her sweatshirt sleeve. What about Zoe? Are you cutting her off completely? Zoe made her choice. She picked your lies over my truth. Choices have consequences. She's just a kid. She's 19, old enough to know right from wrong, to choose honesty over deception. She chose deception. And Owen? Owen chose honesty. He's fine. Ellen stood slowly, like she was carrying the weight of a lifetime. So this is really it. It was always going to end this way, Ellen, from the moment you decided our marriage wasn't enough. She shuffled to the stairs, then paused. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I know. You just wanted to have it all, your way. But life doesn't work like that. She climbed the stairs, and I heard her bedroom door shut. By morning, her car was gone. Monday morning at 8:30, I sat in Judge Larson's chambers with Greg Thornton, waiting for Ellen and Diane Peterson to show up. The office smelled of stale coffee and dusty legal books, the kind of place where lives got carved up and reassigned. Nervous? Greg asked. Should I be? Not with this evidence. But judges can be wild cards. Judge Larson walked in through a side door, a wiry man in his 60s who looked like he'd seen every kind of human failure and wasn't impressed by any of it. Gentlemen, he said, settling behind his desk. I've reviewed the filings. This is a messy one. Diane knocked and entered, Ellen trailing behind. Ellen looked like she hadn't slept in days, pale, with dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back tight. She wouldn't meet my gaze. Mrs. Harlan, Ms. Peterson, Judge Larson said. Take a seat. Diane opened her briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. Your Honor, we'd like to request mediation before any interim orders are issued. These are two people who've shared 18 years of marriage and raised children together. The judge cut her off. Ms. Peterson, I've seen the evidence, video proof of adultery, financial records showing misuse of marital funds, text messages involving the children and deceptive behavior. He looked at Ellen. Mrs. Harlan, do you dispute any of this? Ellen's voice was barely audible. No, Your Honor. Then let's skip mediation and address the interim orders. Mr. Thornton, your client seeks exclusive occupancy of the marital home, protection of separate assets, and restricted access to retirement funds. Correct? Yes, Your Honor, Greg said. Mrs. Harlan, do you have alternative housing? Diane started to answer, but the judge raised a hand. I asked Mrs. Harlan. Ellen cleared her throat. I can stay with my sister in Reno temporarily. Transportation? I have my car. It's paid off. Employment? I'm a part-time nursing instructor, but I'm on administrative leave pending a review of my professional conduct. Judge Larson scribbled on his legal pad. Mr. Harlan, I'm inclined to grant your motion for exclusive occupancy. The evidence shows Mrs. Harlan engaged in conduct that fundamentally broke the marriage contract. Diane jumped in. Your Honor, my client made mistakes, but cutting off all financial support is extreme. Ms. Peterson, your client spent $12,000 of marital funds on an extramarital affair in Florence and $8,000 on another in Rome. That's significant financial waste. He turned to Ellen. Mrs. Harlan, Did you consider the financial impact of these expenses on your family? No, Your Honor, she whispered. I wasn't thinking straight. Clearly. Mr. Harlan, I'm granting the interim orders as requested. Mrs. Harlan has 30 days to vacate the marital home. All earnings and retirement benefits you accrue from now on remain your separate property until a final divorce decree. Diane tried one last time. Your Honor, Diane began, what about temporary spousal support? Mrs. Harlan needs time to rebuild her career. Judge Larson leaned forward. Ms. Peterson, your client rebuilt her career the moment she chose to record herself committing adultery. I'm not inclined to make Mr. Harlan fund her recovery from her own decisions. He signed a stack of papers and handed them to his clerk. Mrs. Harlan, you have 30 days to vacate. Use them wisely. Outside the courthouse in Tempe, Arizona, Diane cornered Greg and me on the steps. This isn't over, she said. We'll appeal the interim orders and push for equitable distribution of all marital assets. Good luck, Greg shot back. Adultery and financial waste are strong defenses against those claims. I watched Ellen climb into Diane's car. She looked small, defeated, like someone who'd finally grasped the price of her actions. How are you feeling? Greg asked as we walked to our trucks. Like I just kicked my wife out of her own life. Any regrets? I thought about 18 years of marriage, the highs, the lows, the woman I loved, and the stranger she'd turned into. None, I said. No regrets. That evening, Owen and I ordered pizza and watched the news in the garage. Upstairs, Ellen was packing. We could hear her footsteps, the creak of drawers, the rip of packing tape. Think she'll really go? Owen asked. She doesn't have a choice. What if she refuses? Then the sheriff will show her the door. That's how court orders work. Owen went quiet for a moment. Dad, you sure about this? The divorce, I mean. She's still my mom, you know, even after all this. I know. It's okay to love her and still call out what she did wrong. Will you miss her? I thought about it. I'll miss who I thought she was. But the woman upstairs, the one who betrayed us and turned Zoe into a liar? I won't miss her at all. Think Zoe will ever forgive you? Maybe when she's older and gets how much betrayal costs. If she doesn't, I'll still have my self-respect, and one kid instead of two. Owen nodded and grabbed another slice. Upstairs, the packing noises dragged on late into the night. Ellen left on a Tuesday morning while Owen was at school and I was at St. Joseph's Medical Center. I came home to find half the furniture gone and a note on the kitchen counter. Jake, I took only what was mine before we married, plus a few sentimental things. The house keys are on your workbench. I'm sorry for everything. I hope you can forgive me someday. Ellen. The house felt different, bigger, but hollow. She'd taken her books, her clothes, the old cedar chest her grandma left her, and the watercolor we bought on our honeymoon in Costa Rica. Everything else stayed untouched. I found the keys on the workbench, next to her wedding ring. It sat there like a silent accusation, the diamond glinting under the fluorescent light. Owen got home from soccer practice and noticed the change right away. She's really gone, he said. Yeah. How are you feeling? Relieved. We ordered Chinese takeout and ate at the kitchen table like normal people, not hiding in the garage. The silence upstairs wasn't tense anymore, just quiet. Wednesday afternoon, Zoe called while I was fixing a busted light fixture in the hospital's pediatric wing. Dad, we need to talk. Go ahead. Not over the phone. I'm driving home this weekend. Your mom doesn't live here anymore. I know. I want to talk to you. About what? About fixing this family before it's gone for good. I set down my wrench. Zoe, there's nothing to fix. Your mom made choices that ended our marriage. You made choices that hurt our relationship. Those have consequences. So you're just throwing away 18 years of marriage and 19 years of being my dad because people messed up? I'm not throwing anything away. I'm protecting what's left. What's left, Dad? You've pushed away everyone who loves you. Have I? Or have the people who claim to love me chosen lies over truth? She went quiet for a second. I'm coming home Friday after class. We're talking, whether you like it or not. See you Friday, Zoe. She hung up. Friday evening, I was grilling chicken for Owen and me when Zoe's car pulled into the driveway on Cedar Lane in Scottsdale. She got out slowly, like she was stepping into a minefield. "Smells good," she said, reaching the back deck. "Want some?" "Sure." I tossed an extra piece on the grill while she sat at the patio table. Owen came out with plates and sodas. "Hey, sis," he said, pecking her cheek. "Hey, yourself. You holding up okay?" "I'm good. Dad and I are good." Zoe glanced around the deck, taking in the calm vibe. "It's so quiet here." "Peaceful," Owen corrected. We ate mostly in silence until Zoe set down her chicken and looked me square in the eye. "I owe you an apology." "For what?" "For lying to you. For helping Mom cover her affairs. For making you the bad guy when you were the one hurt." Her voice was steady, but tears welled up. "I was wrong, Dad. I was protecting the wrong person. I stopped eating." "What changed your mind?" "College. Being away from it all, talking to people who don't know our family, getting their take. And watching Mom these last few weeks." "What about her?" "She's not the victim she acts like. She's mad all the time, whining about how unfair you're being, how she deserves another shot, how you're blowing this out of proportion." Zoe's voice hardened. "She's staying with Aunt Claire in Reno, and Claire says Mom's on dating apps nonstop, looking for her next fling." Owen and I swapped a look. "She's not grieving your marriage, Dad. She's just pissed her safety net's gone." Zoe stared at her hands. "I've been making excuses for someone who doesn't deserve them. Now I want to know if there's any way to earn back your trust." I studied her face, really looked at her for the first time in months. She seemed older, more grounded, less like the naive teen who defended her mom's betrayal and more like a young woman who'd learned a tough lesson. "Start by telling me the truth. All of it. Everything. Everything." Zoe took a deep breath. "The affair started over a year ago. Mom met Marco at a conference in Milan. They kept in touch through email and video calls. She planned to see him again in Rome months before the trip. The Florence guy was someone else, a doctor she met online. She said she was exploring her options and you'd never notice because you were too busy." "How many others?" "At least 3 she told me about. Maybe more." "And you knew all this when you defended her?" "Yeah." Her voice was a whisper. "I thought I was saving the family, but I was just protecting her lies. I looked at my kids, Owen, who'd chosen honesty from the start, and Zoe, who'd picked deception but was now reaching for truth. I need time to think about this," I said. "I get it. But thanks for hearing me out." Zoe stood. "I'm crashing with a friend tonight, heading back to school tomorrow." "Zoe," I called as she reached her car. "Yeah? Thanks for choosing honesty." She nodded and drove off. Owen and I cleaned up the dishes in silence. "Think you'll forgive her?" he asked, drying a plate. "Maybe. It'll take time." "What about Mom?" I put the last glass in the cabinet. "Your mom made her choices. Now she lives with them.